Today's video is about research.
Clap.
Today's video is about research. What is research? The word research is originated from the old French word rechercher, which means to search and search again. It literally implies repeating a search for something and implicitly assumes that the earlier search was not exhaustive and complete, in the sense that there's still an opportunity, a scope for improvement. So it requires process, which Rodman and Mori define research as it is a systematized effort to gain new knowledge. But take note of this. Not all research is aimed at discovering new information. Sometimes studies are conducted to help validate previous research findings. Now let us have the schematic characteristics of research for us to be guided on what will be the content of the research. First, the problem identification. Of course, whatever the specific goal of research, the focus should be on sound research designs and practices. Remember that we are doing a research to provide new information, verifying the previous information, or to modify existing information. All of these are meant for the benefits of everyone. Therefore, problem identification refers to the sense of awareness of a prevalent social problem, a social phenomenon, or a concept that is worth study, and it requires to investigate it to understand it. So, the researcher identifies such a research problem through his observation, knowledge, wisdom, and skills. Second, reviewing information. We knew and we will see that before our study, there are already more existing published research. If not similar, then it has a relevant to our study. So, it is better to solicit some information from them and soon to be part of our study. These are RRL, Review of Related Literature, and RRS, Review of Related Study, will enhance or strengthen our study. Third, data collection. Well, it is a process of collecting information from all the relevant sources to find answers to the research problem. So, what is the data analysis? It is the process of systematically applying statistical and or logical techniques to describe and illustrate, condense and recap, and evaluate data. Commonly, we can treat the demographic profile of the respondents using the frequency, percentage, or rank distribution. These are some functions of data analysis. Fifth, drawing conclusion. We know that doing a research are always looking for a result, which will be possible if we have successfully used the statistical procedure on our data that serves the validity or on our study. Therefore, drawing valid conclusion involves carefully collecting and reviewing evidence and making judgments that will withstand scrutiny. Meaning, the results of the statistical analysis, collected data, and the supporting details from RRL or RRS will make your studies valid. Of course, the conclusion will be thoroughly checked and rechecked by your statistician, research advisor, and the research proofreader. In this portion, we are going to learn the different research designs. Shall we start with number 1, basic research, which is also known as pure or fundamental research. It is a type of research approach that is aimed at gaining a better understanding of a subject, phenomenon, or basic law of nature. In short, this type of research is primarily focused on the advancement of knowledge rather than solving a specific problem. Let us have an example. A study looking at how caffeine consumption impacts the brain. Well, some said taking caffeine will help you stay alert, others won't. It means the goal of the research is merely to increase the amount of knowledge on a topic. not to come up with a practical solution to a problem. Number 2, applied research. Like basic research, applied research is also based on empirical evidence, experiential evidence. The difference between the two approaches is that basic research uses the evidence to support theories, while applied research uses the evidence to enhance practice. Therefore, it refers to the scientific study and research that seeks to solve practical problems. Let us have an example. A study searching for ways to encourage high school graduates to attend college. In the Philippine setup, the government provides TS or tertiary educational subsidy, which is one of the assistance coming from our government that motivates students to take college, which I think one of the solution. Therefore, the purpose of applied studies is to solve some immediate or impending problem. Number 3, experimental design. It is a scientific approach to research where one or more independent variables are manipulated and applied to one or more dependent variables to measure their effect on the latter. Let us have an example. You want to know the effect of using contextualized video presentation on the mathematics performance of college students. The independent variable or the cause here is the use of contextualized video presentation, which serve as the treatment to enhance mathematics performance. And the independent or the effect here is the mathematics performance. If it is effective, then the grade as well as the learning outcome of the student will increase, otherwise it's opposite. So, the purpose of experimental studies is to investigate cause-effect relationships between two variables or among more than two variables under certain conditions or treatment situations. Number 4, true experimental design. It is an experimental design which serves as the most accurate design and may be carried out with or without a pretest on at least two randomly assigned dependent subjects. What does it mean? Let us use the previous example. The effect of using contextualized video presentation on the mathematics performance of college students. Here, we can group our students into two. The experimental group, which will receive this teaching strategy or treatment, and control group whose learning depends on the traditional way, meaning in a regular learning process. Provided that the variable can be manipulated by the researcher, which means the researcher himself will do the manipulation without any outside factors. In short, the true experimental research design must contain a control group, a variable that can be manipulated by the researcher, and the distribution must be random. Number 5, quasi-experimental design. It is also an experimental design when all the criteria necessary for experimental designs are not present. So, the word quasi means partial, half, or pseudo. Therefore, the quasi-experimental research bearing a resemblance to the true experimental research, but not the same. Take note, but not the same. That is why, if there is a factor that does not satisfy the experimental design, then the quasi-experiments will take place, which means the participants are not randomly assigned, and as such, they are used in settings where randomization is difficult or impossible. In other words, quasi-experimental designs meet only some, not all, of the strict criteria for experimental designs. Evidently, quasi-experimental designs are not as powerful as experimental designs because researchers have no way to isolate causes or control extraneous variables. Number 6, non-experimental design. When neither random selection nor random assignment to treatments is possible, ethical, or desirable, a research design is called non-experimental, meaning they do not utilize treatments or control groups. In short, this focuses on the data resources which are taken on tests, surveys, and interviews, rather than the data obtained by designing experiments and analyzing the results. Examples of non-experimental are the following: descriptive or status quo studies, correlation studies, causal comparative studies, and longitudinal studies, which will be discussed after. Let's go with number 7, descriptive design, or also known as status quo research. It is a type of research that describes a population, situation, or phenomenon that is being studied. Take note of this. It focuses on answering the how, what, when, and where questions in a research problem, rather than the why question. This is mainly because it is important to have a proper understanding of what a research problem is about before investigating why it exists in the first place. So, we have the different types of descriptive survey, descriptive normative survey, descriptive status, descriptive analysis, descriptive classification, descriptive comparative, and correlative survey. Number 8, correlational design. It is also a type of non-experimental research which involves observing two variables in order to establish a statistically corresponding relationship between them. For example, correlational research may reveal the statistical relationship between high-income earners and relocation. That is, the more people earn, the more likely they are to relocate or not. Meaning, in your own perspective, if you will earn more than enough, are you still going to stay where you are right now, or you are going to move in a more conducive place? That is why the aim of correlational research is to identify variables that have some sort of relationship to the extent that a change in one creates some change in the other. These are the different types of correlational designs based on its peculiar characteristics: positive correlational research and negative correlational research. Number 9, causal comparative design. We know that not all studies lend themselves to the strict criteria of true experimental designs or even the limited criteria of quasi-experimental designs, meaning the causal comparative designs are opposite in structure and conduct from experimental designs. When we say experimental designs, researchers attempt to isolate causes, the variables, so that they can examine effects. In contrast, in causal comparative studies, researchers observe effects, then look retrospectively for the causes. That is why causal comparisons are also known as ex post facto, meaning after the fact. In this case, you are going to start or use the effects to enumerate its causes. In addition, they observe effects, although they already occurred along with the causes, which serve as the dependent variables. So, causal comparative research is valuable for many studies in the social and behavioral sciences, such as investigating patterns of behavior and achievement motivation by examining past school records of children. Number 10, the longitudinal design. It is a non-experimental research conducted over an extended period of time. It is also mostly used in medical research and other areas like psychology or sociology. Let us have an example: formulating a vaccine which will heal the COVID-19 patients and totally kill the COVID-19 virus. Of course, the process is not simple, and it really needs much of time and efforts. So, the longitudinal studies can be classified as quasi-experimental or non-experimental, depending on the level of control and purpose of the study. Such studies collect data on the same variables at designated points in time to measure changes in dependent variables from one time point to another. Number 11, quantitative research. From its word, it is based on the measurement of quantity or amount. It is also applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. And the best tool to be used in gathering the data is the survey questionnaire. Number 12, qualitative research. It is concerned with qualitative phenomenon relating to or involving quality or kind. And the best tool to be used in gathering the data is the interview questionnaire. Number 13, the last but not the least, the mixed research method. According to Food Risk Research Center, NA, mixed methods research is a methodology for conducting research that involves collecting, analyzing, and integrating quantitative, example, experiments or surveys, and qualitative, example, focus groups and interviews. In short, mixed research method is a combination of quantitative and qualitative research. Thank you for watching. God bless everyone.
Clap.